This game, I've got to say, looking at the squads, looking how they're starting to shape up, that old rivalry is on its way back. I really think so when it comes to Liverpool versus Chelsea. So many different, gorgeous little key battles that are going to be massive in this game. How are you feeling about Liverpool? Because those first two games were games that you should have won. You were pretty impressive, but this is the real test, isn't it?
Well, I think it's early on in the season. I don't think either team is going to go gung-ho. In terms of Liverpool, the big difference is Van Dijk. And I know some people don't think it is, but aside from his defending, and we're going to talk about Van Dijk against Lukaku, it's just his presence. He's just this player. We've all had this player in 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 11-a-side. You pass him the ball and you go, just fix whatever's going on. And that is Van Dijk, even though he plays at the back. He's very calm. He's very commanding. And one of the goals against Burnley came from his pass, his diagonal pass, which we just haven't been able to do that. But that is a way Liverpool break through tight spaces. The worry is it's Chelsea, and they honestly have so many solutions. It's a joke. Right? They can chuck on Werner, who's massive in the fixture last year when Chelsea beat Liverpool. I think to be fair, we should talk about it right now. It's on my mind, and I want to talk about it. Romelu Lukaku is against Van Dijk. I don't think he's going to happen. I know we all want to see this blockbuster clash, but Van Dijk's not stupid. He's not going to engage with Lukaku. He wasn't even engaging with Ashley Barnes or Chris Wood because he's not physically there. He's just going to pass him on to someone else. But how do you deal with Lukaku? And I know you've spoken about it a lot, but that ball into feet is the most annoying thing to do in football when there's a big man up front because you can't stop it happening that all the time.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you can stop it a little bit. And I think the pressing of Arsenal, if you look at the pressing of Arsenal last week, they pressed a lot. But in terms of Tierney and Saka on that left-hand side, between the two of them, I think they only pressed 20 times when the whole team pressed over 200. What that says to me is that they don't press intelligently. So thinking man's game. And that's what Liverpool have been so good about for a long time. And I think that stopping that service into Lukaku is a big part of it. What I thought was really interesting as well, and maybe you can clear this one up for me, is that having a look at the heat maps of Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip, there's this weird little splodge where Matip and Van Dijk swapped. Now, with Lukaku, I think they would go, okay, well, maybe you do play Werner and you play Lukaku. You go, Lukaku, go and stand on Virgil van Dijk and take him out of the game, and then we'll see what we can do with the rest of it. But from those splodges, I wonder if they might kind of swap spaces, and if Lukaku wants to be on that right-hand side a little bit more, just to offer up that balance, especially if we're playing Werner. Kai Havertz likes to be on that left-hand side as well. So I think there's going to be so many little tactical switches and swaps within this. Overall, I think you're right. Van Dijk doesn't really engage with him too much. The big question mark for me is Reece James got so much joy on that right-hand side. You've got Tsimikas, who has been playing the last couple of weeks. I think deep down, we're all expecting Robertson to be there, but Tsimikas has played very well. I think it kind of, Lukaku might get the spoils in terms of scoring the goals like he did against Arsenal. But actually, Reece James on that side, and then maybe how much joy someone like Trent can get on the other side is going to be a real battle. You've got two players here, both sort of vying for that right back spot. And there is going to be more and more chat about these two. I think, first of all, how do you feel that those two will fit in this game? And then I've got to ask you, which one do you think's better?
I mean, the game is going to be built on fullbacks. It really depends. Tuchel will tinker again. I don't think Klopp changed anything. He hasn't for the last 3 seasons. He's going to play exactly how Liverpool do. The interesting thing will be, on one end, I'll go Trent against Alonso. Marcus Alonso doesn't like defending. So then it's Trent against Rudiger, who doesn't actually engage too far wide. Rudiger doesn't like to defend too far wide. He'll track his man because he's quick, but he's not going to try and step in and put a block in. That really suits Trent because also there's Salah in front of him as well. On the opposite side is where the worry probably is, because previously Liverpool have had Gini Wijnaldum, who covers in either for Trent or more so for Robertson, and he's a proper athlete and really, really intelligent. He knows when to press against a player in possession like a Jorginho. He also knows when to track the right back. Arsenal wasn't the sort of game where I looked at it and went, Chelsea were so clever. Tierney didn't really know what he was doing. He was getting dragged in, out, and then he was left with Saka. I think Reece James is a massive problem because technically he does have that like Trent type threat where if he gets the ball, it's trouble in paradise. But if Liverpool can stop him getting the ball, and there is one man who I think will sew it all together for Liverpool, is Fabinho. I think he almost controls the dice to where this game goes because of how he dictates the game. The Liverpool-Chelsea game last time around was controlled by Thiago and Fabinho because it just penned Chelsea in. I just wonder whether Liverpool can unlock Trent. I don't know if you noticed against Burnley, he comes in narrow a lot more now. And it's almost Liverpool are trying to get him in areas where people want him to play, like in central midfield. And he has that passing range. If Liverpool can navigate a way to get him central, do you think he can be creative enough to unlock Chelsea? Because they've been unbelievably good defensively under Tuchel.
I think that's a really good point because I think actually the problem you have is so this is another question. Do you play Werner and you stretch it down that left-hand channel and you keep Trent honest by going, look, you remember what happened last time? You know, you've got to be ready for that ball. Or do you play Havertz, who plays in that awkward little position in that half space? Henderson's going to be, because I think you're right. I think he plays Fabinho. I think he plays Henderson maybe on that right-hand side. I don't think this is a game for Harvey Elliott. I think it's probably a bit too big for him. And of course, you've got to find a way to have Henderson and Fabinho in the team. And so I wonder if that will mean that Trent will actually be very wide. I agree with you. He's not really been able to, he's been able to come into more central areas. I think in this game, he'll stay out a lot wider because Havertz or Mount will occupy that space and will make it a little bit awkward for him. So I think I come back to it. I think that right-hand side or the left-hand side for Liverpool is if Robertson plays and is fit and can stop the problems that you saw with Reece James last week, I think you might have that moment of brilliance with a pass from him. But otherwise, I think it could cancel itself out a little bit on that left-hand side. I actually think it's on the left-hand side that it's going to be the game's going to be won and lost because you've got that Lukaku Van Dijk battle if it happens. You've got Reece James on that side as well, and you know how Liverpool want to play. They want to play down that other side as well. The final thing I've got to say is Jota is playing in the exact same position. As Firmino. So I expect Jota to play again, and he could have a real part to play in this game because Jorginho's been fantastic on the ball, but he wasn't stopped or pressured in any way. That's a huge thing with Liverpool here is that the game is going to be played in the opposition's half because that's what Van Dijk brings you. And so there's a lot less space for those midfielders to run the game like they have. The more I look into this game, the more I think this is Liverpool's. And I think this is I think that it's a contrast of styles. Have Chelsea got too much tactical nous and composure, or are Liverpool just going to be too much energy for them and not enough space for Chelsea? Because I think Van Dijk can read those balls to Lukaku and Werner better than they did last season. So I think there could be a bit of a shock here because I think most people are going Chelsea for the league, Chelsea for the league. I think Liverpool win this one. Hi guys, James Alcott here from ESPN's Football Forecast. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and you want to check out more, make sure you subscribe to ESPN UK.